the spending 3 hours thinking about a case is not just, it's never, I'm not going to say never, but I have not spent that time just sitting in a room generally thinking about a case. You don't have to plan it out ahead of time, I will say, for people who are feeling intimidated by the idea of doing this. But what I usually do is if I'm like, you know what, I need to brainstorm about this case, I start with, okay, well, let me just read carefully every document that they've produced. Let me start there. And then inevitably, as I start to read, I start to put documents together and piece it together in my mind in a story. So just start at the beginning, read every document they produced, and then that'll help your brain get going, the creativity get going. One of the reasons that I love being a lawyer is this exact process, is the creative process, is the putting puzzles together, and coming up with a story. It's the most fun part of it for me.
And Google time. Uh-huh. Let's just Google the company. Let's Google the issue. You have something on driver fatigue. Let's Google driver fatigue and start. It's not the same as having an expert pull you the best scientific studies, but you find a lot of really good stuff just by doing, good Google searches, looking at company websites, finding the literature and reading it, and then highlighting what's important. And then I'll go into speak, write, and dictate out the parts I highlighted so I can have a memo of the key phrases for the literature I want to go make into exhibits later or use as anchors in my case. But it just takes time to riff on it. And every time you get interrupted, you lose where you were. Mm-hmm. And which means that I've had to teach people, during this time, I'm not going to respond to your text. I'm not going to answer your phone call. I'm not going to look at my email. And so, it's so, email grabs your attention so much. I try to turn off the little alerts that pop up. I turn off the alerts on my phone, but it's so easy. Well, let me just go check my email real quick. No. If you check your email real quick, you will think about something else, and it will take you 20 or 30 minutes to get back to where you are. And sometimes you never get back. You had like some brilliant idea that was gestating, and it's like almost there. And then someone interrupts you, and then it's gone. And you've lost it. The inspiration's gone, and you may never find it again.
Yeah, that's really frustrating. Well, I've definitely been in that situation before where you're reading some document and someone walks into your office and interrupts you, and then you had this great idea and it just eats at you for days. You're like, there was something there. I just lost it completely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the purpose of the uninterrupted, but don't be intimidated by it. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have necessarily a specific goal in mind, to do the 3 uninterrupted hours. So some people think, well, I need to do it to prepare for an offensive depo, right? I'm going to take the defendant driver's deposition. So that's what I'm going to do. You can do it in that scenario, but you should also be doing this without a specific goal in mind other than to understand the case better. And then that's how you get the Google. That's how you start reading every piece of document that's been produced or every piece of paper that you've gotten from a FOIA request, and sitting down and spending the time to actually read it word for word, everything on that page, because you might find something you missed before.
And I think the earlier you do it, and I'm not saying that you don't just do it once on a case. If it's a significant case, you want to spend a lot of uninterrupted time on it. But the earlier you do it, the earlier you start brainstorming, the earlier you start thinking about the case, it's just something magical. When we've seen it, when we've taken the time to brainstorm and map out our case, then we ask the right questions in depo. We have the right, we sense when someone's not telling us, you hear what's not said between words, and you follow up. And you get this great testimony that you can then follow up on other things. You know what documents should be there, so you compel them and you catch the defense when they're playing the games with you and rename, using different terms or different games to not give you what they owe you. So the earlier the better. And I know a lot of listeners. You're at a firm and you have what I used to have like 80 to 100 cases or more.
Yeah.
You don't have time to do this in every case. Well, that's fine. But if you want to be a good lawyer, you want to develop yourself, pick one, pick two, pick your best 1 or 2 cases and do this. And it will make you a better lawyer. And what you'll do is when you start getting bigger values on cases, you can start having fewer cases because you're getting more per case. And you just find that the magic happens when you put the work in.